dreading this. Not gonna lie, I absolutely dreading this. Well, good morning everybody. We've got another little project here. So these are hinge plates off from a Fruehauf Dump lead. And they are, it's actually a lot worse worn than it looked at first glance. These things have got about 1/8 of an inch worth of wear in them. So at any rate, we've got a little project here to weld these up and remachine them. Now these parts I'm kind of excited about because these are small enough and the bracing in them is such that what I'm going to do is first, of course, yank out all of the grease fittings. We'll just re-drill and tap those when we're done. And then I'm going to hand weld this up. This is where I really would like a rotary positioner, by the way. This would be so much nicer because this part, because of the shape of it, I can grab this in a 3-jaw chuck. One chuck there, or one jaw there, and one there. You know, 3 spots around this. And if I had a rotary positioner, we would have this thing set up horizontal here, spinning, and I would just whoosh, run that weld. It would make this job so much faster and easier. But haven't got one of those yet. But once we get done welding it, we're going to take this right over to the lathe and grab it exactly like that and buzz this thing up. So, all right, let's get these grease fittings out of these things here. The very crusty nature of these things is exactly why this project needs to be done. These grease fittings have been obviously not accepting grease anytime in the last 10 years. And that's why there's as much wear as there is. So get them out of there. Get some new ones in when it goes back together. Alright, so I think what we're going to do with these, nice, is I'm going to get my die grinder out with a flap wheel, and we're going to run around in there and clean the inside of that bore up a bit, and then we'll go to it and do some welding. So I weld a little, run a bead on each lip to start with, just because when you're welding, it's hard to get the ends to build up full depth square. And if I start with a bead there and then weld up over it, I don't have to do much filling on the ends then. Looking pretty good. A little dip right here. Pull that in. Yeah, basically, just gotta burn wire for a while now. Trucking right along. Add in a little more baling in there. Well, we're back. So, Wiggles has got the flu, so that's why I had to go home. My wife was working this morning and I had to go keep an eye on him, make sure he was doing okay, and his little brother. But I'm back, and in the meantime my new welding helmet showed up. So I have not tried one of these. I've been running these Decos for quite a while. This is a Chinese import company that I've been pretty happy with them. But I bought a lot of Yes Welders stuff. They're another Chinese company, and they had a pretty nice looking welding helmet now with the big, larger window in it. This is supposed to be true color, where you actually see stuff in the color. Anyways, they did not give me this. I paid my own hard cold cash for this, but I think this was, I want to say about 60 bucks. It looks pretty good. The headband came a bit warped, but usually they wear in, and I will say the headband is much better. It's more like the like the 3M Speed Glass stuff. It's got a nice back strap. Still getting this thing adjusted up. But I played with it at the house quite a while I was watching the kids, and now I'm gonna put it to work in the real world here and see what it does. So anyway, let's see what we can accomplish here. Alright, well, so far I like it. It's much more comfortable than the other one. Huge field of view. Not bad. Alright, let's move some stuff around. Show clear all the way around. Well, let's get a tool set up here and have a go at carving on this a bit. First question is, yeah, we can get in there far enough with that stick out. Spark phase converter. Be 50 on a side. It'll start giving me a pretty good idea of where I'm at. If I need to do any more filling or not. So if it's at all possible to, this kind of work is much better done on the lathe than it is on the boring mill, because the boring mill is just never as rigid as the lathe is. You get away with much heavier cuts, higher feed rates, just all the way around. This is the reason that I really wanted that vertical turret lathe that I ended up giving up on. Is a lot of stuff that I otherwise do on the boring mill, I would have definitely rather done on a VTL if I had the option. See what this says we've got now. Well, that's going to be darn close. I think we're going to take another 20 and see where we're at. Take a 10 on a side, 20 on the diameter here. Trying to see if it's going to clean up or not. If it's not looking like it's going to, then we're going to pull it and do some welding on it after this pass. Oh, that is so darn close. If it wasn't for those ones up there, I think everything would clean up. I believe we're going to have to pull it though. So you can see we got a few spots there that were a bit low yet. We'll go ahead and fill them in, and then we'll go back to it. Alright, now as long as we're over here, let's finish this one up. Be done with it welding. a grease groove all the way through there. We're going to cheat and do that by using my rapid traverse on my carriage. So I set my tool out by 20 thou on a side and then ran a grease groove all the way around in there. It's not real deep, but enough to give me some actual grease flow through there. Now we're going to cut a little groove right in the middle all the way around the center. Alright, so I am about 20 on a side from finished diameter, and you can see I've got some pretty significant, this one was worn a lot worse than the other one. See some pretty significant voids. Some of them are just, you know, weld oversights on my part, but like this, that is just from the huge wear that was here. One pass just wasn't enough. So anyway, here, well, we've got quite a bit of material left to take out. We're going to go back, fix all the low spots. I wanted to show you something else. So I mentioned yesterday that I just got this helmet. First job I've used it on. I generally like it, but I just discovered something about it that is pretty much an absolute no-go. So they made no attempt to try and seal this or seal it from the inside, and I'm wiping it off this morning. Why is it so grungy? And it's because smoke fumes are getting in between this outer shield. So that is such a pain in the butt. You know, it's one thing to have to, you know, you're going to have to wipe off the outside and the inside screen once in a while, but to have to rip your helmet apart and clean out the inside every half an hour of operation is completely unacceptable. So, at any rate, I'm going to be lobbing a complaint back to Yes Welder. So I'm just pointing that out. Generally like the helmet. If they won't do anything for me, then I'm probably going to be trying to figure out how to create my own gasket system or something. But that was it. I thought I'll show you that, and then we're going to get back at welding here. Alright, first pass after the re-weld. Pretty big cavity there, but I don't dare come back and fill it now the bore is done. It's not hurt anything, it's just cosmetically ugly. Remember, it's going to leave it alone. I had to keep reminding myself this is the hinge pin on a dump lead. This is not rocket. Alright, there. Time to go drill some grease holes. Well, that's the end of these. See, grease fitting installed, machined up. They both had some boogers in this side, like there, that didn't quite clean up. The reason for that, there was a lot of wear on this face, and I was having to kind of guess at how much to put on. And then I couldn't find out if that was going to clean up all the way until after I'd done the bore, because the only way I had to grab this was to grab it from this side, which meant machining this face in the bore and then flipping it around and grabbing it from the inside to do this. And I didn't want to risk messing up my freshly cut bore, touching up spots that are ugly, but that make no difference functionally. So anyway, bores came out perfect. The other face is perfect. And for what it does, like I say, it's hinge plates for a Fruehauf Dump lead. So this is our new, I think almost $700 hunk of 1045 chrome rod stock, cylinder rod stock. And I'm aiming to make a pin that's going to be a hinge pin for a Fruehauf Dump lead. The original, they did something that I think was pretty cheesy, and they slid a collar on each end and welded it on. So that meant they had to do all kinds of hacking and carving to get it off from there. The other pin was wore out, but it meant there was no way to remove it without really trashing it. So what I intend to do is cross drill this for a bolt on each end, and then I've got this idea. I keep a few chunks of cylinder material around here. This happens to be 4-inch ID, 4.5 OD, and this happens to be 4.5 ID, 5-inch OD. So what I've got in mind to do is cut this off right here and make myself a couple of sleeves that slide on the end of there, and then cut off, I don't know, probably a 3/4 inch chunk of this, slide on the end and weld it. And what that'll give me, then I'll put it in the lathe, face it all off. That'll give me a bearing surface on the end that's almost as wide as the boss on those hinges. And then let me come back here behind where that collar is and punch my cross through hole to match the one in that shaft. So then you'll have one of these collars on each side with a bolt through it, and that'll be the retention method from now on. And if they want to get it apart and work on stuff, refurbish things, whatever, they'll actually be able to dismantle it without having to torch things apart. Jumping projects again, there's that one sitting there, but I need to get this thing out of my shop. So we are going to fire up the old Vevor welder here and do a little welding. Figure as long as we got this thing here, we might as well carry on playing with it. I can easy enough use a different welder, but this thing's sitting here begging to be played with, so let her rip. I'm dreading this. Not a lot. I am absolutely dreading this. Alright, not as bad as I imagined it to be. Whew, man. Tell you what though, I've had this flu bug now for almost a week. It is kicking my butt. Got no energy. Now that I've done that, I think I've realized that I have to be on this side. I don't think I'm going to be able to get out far enough. I got to drill out the end of that. So I think I have to yank it back off here and slide it up this side. Darn. My dad got stitches in his head one time from standing something like this up, turning his back on it. Fell over. I can't remember if it did knock him out or about knocked him out. Rung his bell pretty good. Now it's time to find out. I think we can reach her. Alright. awkward position to run this thing in, but I think we can make it work. Alright, I gotta go find me clearance drill for 5/8 is one of the things. So you find yourself a tap with a ground point on it. Throw that in here. A little more. I'm sighting it off the jaws on the pipe. That is looking dandy. All right. Alright, we're through. I ran out of travel. I had to move the head down a bit there in the middle. I didn't realize what was going on. Not very good for your machine to bottom it out under power feed. I think she'll survive. Alright, now what I want to do next, this ring needs to get drilled through. Alright, so got it done. The issue I had going on there, got my drill bit stuck because it was not quite long enough to actually reach all the way through here. And this had shifted slightly. You know, it's 64th over drill bit, but it's got a bit of a reduced shank, so it had shifted a little bit, hung up, wouldn't come back through the hole. But anyway, I monkeyed around with it, got it back out of there. But so the idea behind this whole thing is the original pin in this application, they just had a couple of collars like this that they welded on it, and that was it. We'd like it to be removable, so I made them one collar here to weld on. I was originally going to make both ends bolt on, but it's very imprecise, and it was going to be difficult to make it come out very exact. We want it to be, you know, no clearance. We don't want it to be able to spread under load. They're going to stick it in there with this one bolted on, slam it up tight, and then slide this one down on the other end and weld it in. So at any rate, this project is officially done. I just have to get it wrestled back out of here and tell the customer to come get it. So catch you guys later.